Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Jamie. This reading could resonate if you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. I say could because it just will not be everyone's reading, and that's okay. Just discard it if it isn't. And remember, there is no gender, so if I pull a king or a queen, I could really be talking about anyone. It's all about the personality that I'm describing, right? All the information for private personals is below in the description and in the pinned section of the comments. Answer, please. No way, I just flipped them that way. That was interesting. Okay. So we have mentalization, understands one's own mental states as well as others. We have what do you need to release, waning moon. The overall energy, the King of Wands. Underneath it all, I have the moon, this Pisces energy. I kind of feel like you're trying to put out a flame, if that makes sense. There's like kind of somebody in your life that it's like an energy you've never experienced before. As the King of Wands, the sexual energy is correct. They have a lot of passion in life. They chase their dreams. This is an attractive person. And I feel like they can pull anyone. Like this is a person who just like doesn't even seek attention and receives it. There's just something about this person's aura. You could be literally dealing with a fire sign. Now, the thing with this is that there was a lot of kind of like hidden energy on your part. Something about this person, I feel like, made you feel deeply insecure. And it could be the fact that they could just pull anyone and that they really are charming and attractive. So I feel like there was this energy kind of here where you might have felt sort of less than, not worthy of. I also kind of feel like there's this no contact situation, and this is from your end. It's like you maybe at some point, she's holding this needle and thread. Maybe at some point you really did have like intentions to correct something, fix it, stitch it up. And this person just didn't really, they just didn't do anything. It's like both of you have been just silent. And maybe for a while you just wouldn't accept it. I feel like this is an energy of just not accepting that something really was over, not accepting that, things wouldn't come back around. And so, because there was no acceptance, I feel like you really just remained stuck on this person for a really long period of time. And I feel like, this came with maybe like, depression. Maybe you weren't even like showing to the world how you really felt. Like there was a lot of like hidden energy here about how deeply insecure being with this person actually made you. And it's interesting because I have actually a lot of cards out here. And I feel like what this brought to the surface, maybe with some other situations. I feel like, in this situation, maybe you were actually keeping it real with yourself, where you're saying, I'm like insecure. This doesn't feel right. And even if you didn't say it out loud with the moon, I feel like there was a lot of like hidden energy. You weren't speaking on things. Almost like you were basing who this person was off of past people. So, and I feel like you kind of recognize that now, where like maybe there was a mistake in deciding that just because this person was attractive and just because other people liked them or wanted them, that they, like that you wouldn't be enough, or like that they weren't going to really choose you in the end, or, I don't know, there's some insecurity around, people choosing people over you, or I just feel like these are deep wounds where like you are, not so confident. Like your self-esteem is maybe not where it should be. Um, there's a part of you that just keeps it real with yourself, where you might feel like you sacrificed or sabotaged this relationship based off of who other people were. Like I feel like in the past you've really it's like you've had people who maybe didn't have much. They would use you because they were broke. Maybe they saw you as a come up, or people that just, somebody who just really wasn't committed. This can be a cheater, someone who just won't get into a full blown relationship, or someone who really is a liar. And then, this other person here, this possibly a water sign. It's looking like these are past energies. Someone who really just didn't have any emotions. They just weren't vulnerable. They weren't open to you. They didn't care how you felt, and they were insecure. Um, so they probably said nasty things. They were overly emotional. They had too much reaction, and there's like, this little series of traumatic events led you to believing that you weren't really enough for like the person of your dreams. But I think maybe looking back at it now too, with the mentalization and what you need to release, it's kind of like maybe even with these people, you weren't seeing your own behavior here, where you were showing up believing that you weren't enough. So you were attracting ain't shit people because you felt like you weren't shit, you know? And those were those energies, though. This is not who, this King of Wands is in the upright, male or female. There's also the kind of like this recognition here where, like, maybe with this person, what you thought was like intuitive nudges or hits really weren't. It was just deep insecurity, like a paranoia that someone's going to do you filthy like others have. Um, but with these people in the further past, it's kind of like you weren't using you didn't even have intuition. You were just like blindly like dealing with these people. And then when, it's kind of like relating this person to people who couldn't compare if they wanted to, but you realize that like you've really like held yourself back, or like, I don't know, it's like the mentalization that you're probably the fucking problem here, right? Like, like it's looking like 3 in 1, with the same outcome. And it's like, maybe these people did do me filthy, but now I'm showing up in a situation without trust, without being able to be open, without really like being vulnerable and feeling like I'm less than. And so, that can show up in different ways too. For everybody it's different, but like usually when people feel like they're less than or not enough for somebody, they kind of actually treat the other person like they're less than or not enough, and kind of try to pull that person's self-esteem down to where they are. For other people, it could just be this silent falling apart inside because you feel like somebody could do better than you. And I feel like it's because that's how you were treated in the past. But I feel like there's some regret here where it's like you feel like it wasn't fair to this person. There's somebody specific here where you feel like that the reason that things are kind of like where they are is really, it comes down to your insecurity and you feeling like you just aren't enough for this person, period. That it's not necessarily the things that they're doing. It's like, maybe this person gets a lot of attention, but they're not like going after people. It's something kind of like that. But looking at your own bullshit here, where it's like not necessarily this person, and maybe in the past you weren't doing that. You were like, like, seeing this person as looking for attention or like just too much, So I like it because it's like, really accountable and realizing that there's some stuff from your past that you really like have not healed from. And it really, really comes down to this energy of, one, feeling like you're not enough, and two, feeling like because you're not enough, people will abandon you. So it's hard for you to be with a secure and confident person because I feel like that's who you met with this King of Wands. You feel like you met this person at the wrong time, that you weren't fully healed, that you just like didn't have an understanding like you do now. And if you could do it all over again, it probably would be different. But I feel like there's also kind of this recognition that you had to lose a person in order to see these things. So it's like, this person showed up and they kind of had more purpose than these people. These people hurt, this person healed, even if it hurt. If that makes sense. And I don't feel like there's it's like taking away someone else's accountability. They are fiery and passionate and a totally different element than you were. But I just feel like there is that knowing that like the real problem here was like just the insecurity. I have a few cards for advice. Because I feel like it already mapped out the shadow work here. Deep fears of abandonment, fears of the unknown, and fear of vulnerability, which is actually a lot for a relationship baggage, right? Cross watchers, don't get it fucked up because I'm coming for you guys in your readings too. The Two of Cups, Knight of Cups, Ace of Swords. So, okay. So we have that of life energy. I am wise with money because it is the vat where I store my life energy. I seek to enjoy the money I spend more than life energy I put in to gain it. Embrace this virtue of frugality. I do not understand why that was just so hard for me to read. Um, I feel like this is not, because we're not doing like a financial spread. This is kind of talking about like time and energy, that you're becoming really wise with your time and energy because that's your life energy. You can't just dish it out to anyone here. But also, I feel like being kind of willing to put in like the energy and work on yourself to become a better partner. I feel like that's kind of like what was learned in this last thing, or become a better friend, become a better parent, become a better child. It's it's just relationships, but it's kind of like, to me, like your energy is back. Maybe before this was kind of like depleting. We saw that 5 of Pentacles there, and it's like you finally are. Maybe it's like this drained you of your energy. Your energy is back, and now it's like really having to learn how to invest it appropriately. Maybe you were wasting a lot of your time and energy in that relationship, chasing someone around, trying to control what was happening based off of insecurity. And it literally was fucking exhausting and draining, you know? But there was a major lesson learned here. And we have risk, learn to grow where you are planted. We have be, community. You are a powerful creator. Your work blesses everything you touch. Be open to receiving sweetness. You are the Queen of Abundance with the Two of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. I feel like it's still like reiterating, it's like really keeping it real with yourself. The Ace of Swords is understanding your own truth and how you show up. Because this is that community card. This is what the fuck are you giving your energy to in a relationship? Is it that shadow, the insecurity, or is that what we're feeding in a relationship? Are we constantly looking at a partner like they could do this and this is what could happen, and it's just like almost like attracting that, or do we just invest that energy into really, I think believing in love, allowing it to sort of happen when it does, instead of looking for all the wrongs. It's like, I understand, like in the past, maybe you just loved blindly, but I don't think this was like, blind. I feel like this is like a triggered type of event, where it's like a paranoia surrounding, fidelity and, if you're enough or not. Like, do you need to compete for a person or not because you have before, and I feel like this is leading you to something important here, but you may actually, there may be a person actually reaching back out to you, and it's your like chance, because judgment was in the reverse in that first spread. I feel like there wasn't full clarity, there wasn't any kind of closure. I feel like there's closure coming in, or the ability to talk things out here with the Two of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Cups. And it's saying to really be careful where you put your energy and allow yourself to really grow in the situation. I feel like somebody is coming back around. And this is not a person who actually did you wrong. This is just a person that showed you how fucking insecure you really are. So here, now that I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If this reading pissed you off, then this actually probably wasn't your reading. You're just not there yet. This is for people who are aware of who they are and how they're showing up. And it's like maybe before, it's like you can't communicate with this person, or you don't know what to say, or you feel like it's best to just not talk to them. or to force them to come around and be accountable and apologize, and that's fucking happening. So maybe it's like you weren't expecting it, though. You've kind of been over here, like trying to heal on your own and do your own thing, and you're just feeling like I'm never going to talk to this person again or something. And it's like your perspective is slowly changing. It's sort of like you're seeing where you went wrong and what this other person could have been going through, or where you could have just been perceiving things wrong. And now it's almost like there's guilt or like shame on your end around how you handled the situation. The ability to correct it is here. But this is not a situation you'll be able to avoid or like, hide anything here, because I feel like that's kind of something you like to do. It's like kind of like acting like you're fine. Like, I'll just cut somebody off, not talk to them, and act like my life is perfectly fine while I'm falling apart. And maybe this person's just exactly like that. They did the same thing. But there's this opportunity to correct things. And it's going to require you to be honest, though, not just with yourself, but with another person. This is how I felt, and it actually didn't have anything to do with you. It's just these things that I've been through, and it's inexcusable. And I'm sorry. It's not really that fucking hard. It might seem like it is, but it isn't. I just feel like first there was a lot of anger and like sort of like, seeing this person one type of way. And now that there's been some time that's passed, seeing the situation a little more clearly. So let's stop seeing ourselves as, less than, so that you can have what you deserve. See you guys soon.